The stars were quiet that night, but the galaxy was not. Rumors spread across systems faster than light rumors about Earth. Some called it a forgotten world. Others called it a graveyard of broken machines. To the Council, Earth was nothing more than a primitive rock where humans played with junk metal and old wrecks. But they were wrong. In the farthest corner of Sol System, an abandoned field of wreckage floated in silence. Dozens of broken warships, satellites, rusting carriers, and shattered drones hung like corpses above Earth. For centuries, alien scouts had seen this orbit and laughed. Humans cannot even clean their own space, they mocked. What a backward species. What none of them knew is that the wreckage was alive. The first sign came one cold night when a Council patrol ship entered Earth's orbit. The crew expected nothing, just another easy scan. Instead, their scanners failed. Lights flickered, and before they could call for help, a shadow moved across the stars. It wasn't a working ship. It was a corpse of one a dead cruiser humans had never built, pieced together from broken alien parts, but it moved. The patrol ship tried to escape, but the wrecked cruiser opened fire with weapons that should not exist. Old cannons, patched with human steel, fired in perfect rhythm. The patrol ship exploded. No survivors. The wreck drifted back into the field, silent once more. When the news reached the Council, they laughed again. Humans are playing with garbage. Let them. It will collapse soon. But unease spread among military officers. How did a planet with no true fleet destroy a patrol ship armed with advanced weapons? The answer was buried deep under Earth's surface, where the world's greatest secret waited. For decades, humans had been collecting the wreckage of every alien battle near Earth. Pieces of fallen ships, scrap metal from old wars, even shattered, hulls left behind by passing fleets. What the galaxy thought was trash, Earth saw as treasure. Engineers, scientists, and even miners worked in secret underground hangars. They had one rule: nothing is useless. From broken engines, they built power systems. From shattered weapons, they forged hybrids. From destroyed hulls, they created armor no alien could recognize. And soon, the graveyard of space became something else entirely. A hidden fleet, but it wasn't enough to build ships. Earth had to hide them. The Council had spies everywhere, and the galaxy still believed Earth was weak. So humans left the wreckage floating above their world, broken and ugly, while inside, the ships learned to wake. Artificial minds formed from fragmented alien A's. They were unstable, strange, and terrifying. Yet they obeyed one command: defend Earth. No one outside Earth knew, till the second incident. This time, a small raiding fleet from the Oryx Empire entered the Sol System. They came not for war, but for mockery. Their commander wanted trophies from the junk world. They laughed as they passed the asteroid belt. They laughed as they neared Earth's orbit. But their laughter ended when the wreckage stirred. Field of dead ships suddenly lit up with cold blue lights. Engines that should not burn came alive. Broken turrets rotated, targeting the raiders. The Oryx commander froze. That is impossible. The wreckage moved as one. 7 ships, each made of different alien parts, charged forward. They looked like nightmares, shattered hulls, patched wings, jagged metal. But they were fast. Too fast. The Oryx fleet tried to form defense lines, but it was too late. In less than 3 minutes, raider ships were gone. The survivors fled in panic, their commander screaming across, "Comes Earth has awakened the graveyard.
Ow.
Earth has weapons that should not exist." And the Council received the distress call. The laughter stopped. In hidden chambers across the galaxy, leaders gathered. Earth was supposed to be primitive, weak, a place of dirt farmers and slow thinkers. Yet somehow, they had turned wreckage into power. This was not supposed to be possible. On Earth, the people watched in silence. They had kept their secret for decades. They knew the galaxy mocked them, treated them as children, dismissed them as fools. But now, the galaxy would learn. The fleet was not complete. Many ships were still half-built, half-dead. But even so, Earth had proven its strength. The wreckage was no longer trash, it was a weapon, and the galaxy was starting to fear it. In the control room of the hidden base beneath the Rocky Mountains, Commander Hayes stood before a massive screen. Dozens of glowing dots showed the fleet above Earth, still disguised as broken debris. Engineers whispered around him, worried about exposure. Scientists argued about the risks of using unstable AI, but Hayes did not waver. They mocked us, he said quietly, his voice like iron. They thought our wreckage was nothing. Now it is everything. The Council would come. The galaxy would come. Hayes knew it. The attacks would not stop. But neither would Earth. The fleet would grow. The graveyard would awaken. And when the galaxy finally arrived in force, they would not find a weak world of farmers. They would find a fleet of nightmares, made from the bones of 1,000 alien wars. The galaxy mocked Earth's wreckage. Soon they would fear it. Because what the galaxy threw away, humanity had turned into the greatest weapon the stars had ever seen, and this was only the beginning. The galaxy could not ignore Earth anymore. News of the graveyard fleet spread like wildfire. From the trade hubs of the Outer Rim to the high halls of the Galactic Council, whispers grew. They spoke of wrecked ships moving like predators. They spoke of humans who stitched dead machines together and gave them life. Some called it madness. Others called it forbidden science. But one word spread across the stars more than any other fear. The Oryx Empire demanded answers. Their raiding fleet had been torn apart in minutes. Survivors swore that broken ships hunted them like wolves. The Council dismissed the reports as exaggerations. No primitive world can build such things, they declared. Yet, behind closed doors, even the counselors felt unease, and still. Earth remained silent. In the underground command chamber beneath the Rockies, Commander Hayes studied the reports. His officers argued around him. They will come with a full fleet soon, one warned. Our defenses are not ready, said another. The AI are unstable. If they turn against us, Hayes raised a hand. Silence filled the room. His eyes locked on the glowing map above the table. Dozens of dead ships drifted in orbit. They looked harmless to outsiders, but each one was alive, waiting for his order. They mocked us for centuries, Hayes said calmly. Now they fear us. Good. Fear buys us time. But Hayes knew fear would not hold them back forever. The Council's pride was too great. The empires were too greedy. The galaxy could never allow Earth to rise, not after this, and so it happened. Sooner than anyone expected. 2 weeks later, the sky above Mars darkened. A fleet arrived, 70 warships from the Calrix Dominion sent to investigate. But everyone knew the truth. This was not an investigation. It was a test. They wanted to see if the rumors were real. The fleet did not hide their approach. They broadcast openly, mocking Earth once again. This is Calrix Dominion Fleet Command. Earth, you are ordered to surrender all illegal technology immediately. If you resist, your world will burn. The message echoed across the solar system. Billions of humans heard it. Fear spread through cities, colonies, and outposts. For many, it felt like the end. But in the underground chamber, Hayes did not flinch. His officers turned to him, waiting. Slowly, he gave the order. Wake the graveyard. Above Earth, the wreckage stirred. Broken cruisers, shattered destroyers, and fractured carriers began to move. Blue lights flickered in the dark. Engines groaned to life. To the Calrix fleet, it looked like ghosts rising from the dead. The Dominion commander laughed when he saw them. Pathetic. Scraps of garbage, pretending to be ships. Crush them. 70 Calrix warships advanced. 30 human-made nightmares met them head-on. The battle began in silence. Then the graveyard roared. Human ships did not fight like alien ones. They did not form neat formations or follow predictable patterns. They fought like predators, wild. Chaotic, relentless. One ship stitched from 3 different cruisers charged forward, its jagged hull tearing through shields. Another fired a cannon that should have been impossible, its power source ripped from 5 separate wrecks. The Calrics were confident at first. Their weapons were newer, their ships cleaner, but within minutes, confidence turned to confusion. The human fleet did not break. Every time a wreck was hit, it fought harder. Systems rerouted, armor plates shifted, strange AI minds adapted on the spot. The Dominion had never faced anything like it. And then the graveyard revealed its secret at the heart of the fleet. A massive shape emerged. It was not one ship. It was many 20 different wrecks fused together into a colossal battleship. Its size dwarfed everything around it. Its weapons glowed with unstable energy, stolen from every corner of the galaxy. The Dominion commander's voice cracked across the comms. Impossible. The giant opened fire. One blast tore through 3 Calrix cruisers at once. Another shredded their command ship in half. Panic spread. The Calrix fleet tried to retreat, but the graveyard hunted them down. Broken wings became blades, shattered engines became missiles. Dead A's became wolves hungry for blood. In less than an hour, 70 Dominion warships were gone. Not one survived. The galaxy trembled. When word of the massacre reached the Council, silence fell in their chambers. The Calrix Dominion was not weak. They were one of the most feared powers in the galaxy. Yet Earth, the primitive world, had annihilated them with junk. "This cannot be allowed," one counselor hissed. "They have broken every law of technology," another cried. "They have awakened death itself." But still, deep inside, fear grew, because the truth was clear. If Earth could do this with wreckage, what could they do with real ships? Back on Earth, Hayes stood in the silent chamber. Round him, his officers looked shaken. Some cheered the victory. Others whispered in fear of what they had unleashed. Hayes looked at the glowing map of the fleet. Above Earth, the graveyard had won, yes. But the galaxy would not stop now. They would come in greater numbers. They would come with fire. And yet, Hayes felt no fear. His voice was calm, steady, final. They mocked us. Now they fear us. Soon, they will learn to bow. Far above, the wreckage drifted once more, silent and broken-looking to outside eyes. But inside, the fleet was awake. The graveyard was ready, and the galaxy was running out of time. The galaxy was no longer laughing, too. Fleets had been destroyed near Earth. First, the Oryx Raiders. Then the mighty Calrix Dominion fleet. Both had been reduced to ashes by what should not exist, a fleet of broken ships. The news spread like a plague. Merchants whispered about it in trade stations. Soldiers spoke of it in hushed tones. Children of alien worlds had nightmares of the graveyard fleet. But the Council could not stay silent any longer in the heart of the galaxy. Inside the Grand Hall of Concord, the 12 great powers gathered. They argued for days, voices echoing across marble walls. "Earth has broken the laws of war," one shouted. "They use unstable AI. They use dead technology. It is an abomination," cried another. "They must be crushed before this spreads." Not all agreed. A few voices trembled with caution. If they can turn wreckage into such power, what if we fail to defeat them? What if we awaken something worse? But fear could not hold back pride. The Council voted. A decision was made. A war fleet unlike any before would be sent to Earth. Not 70 ships, not 100, but thousands, enough to drown any resistance, enough to erase Earth from history, and so the galaxy prepared for war. Back on Earth, humans knew what was coming. The battle at Mars had been a victory. Yes, but it was also a signal. Hayes stood in the underground command chamber as the reports came in. Scouts, spies, and intercepted transmissions all said the same thing. A storm was gathering. "They are coming with everything," whispered Lieutenant Carter. "Thousands of ships. Too many." Hayes did not look away from the glowing map above. The table, the dots representing Earth's fleet, flickered faintly. 37 ships in orbit. Some strong, some barely holding together. Many unfinished. "We always knew this day would come," Hayes said quietly. Around him, officers argued, "We must hide the fleet." "No, we must strike first. We should ask for peace."
No.
"They will never give peace."
Not after what?
"We've done." Hayes let them speak. But inside, his mind was steady. Humans had prepared for this for decades. The galaxy thought Earth was weak, but Earth had been watching, waiting, learning. The wreckage was not their weakness. It was their shield, and it was still growing. Deep inside the hidden shipyards beneath the oceans, new monsters were being born. Engineers worked without rest, piecing together hulks of alien steel. It's a massive carrier built from 5 different wrecks waited beneath the Pacific waves. In Antarctica, a ship with wings like jagged ice prepared to rise. Even on the moon, secret hangars came alive with engines stitched from every empire's ruins. Each ship was strange, ugly, and terrifying. Yet each one was powerful in a way the galaxy had never imagined. But Hayes knew numbers alone would not win. Galaxy had more ships, more guns, more men. What Earth had was something else: the will to fight with nothing and turn it into everything. That was humanity's weapon. And so gave the order that shocked even his closest officers. We will not wait for them to come. We will strike first. The room went silent. Dozens of eyes turned to him in disbelief. Sir, against thousands of ships? That is suicide. No, Hayes said firmly. That is survival. If we wait, they will crush us at our doorstep. But if we strike first, if we strike where they least expect, we can shatter their pride before the war even begins. The officers stared at him, slowly understanding spread. It was madness. It was impossible. It was human. The plan was set, not to face the Council's fleet head-on, but to break it before it could unite. The Council was powerful, yes, but it was also divided. Different empires, different egos, different fears. If Earth struck fast enough, it could tear the fleet apart before it even reached Sol. And so, the Graveyard Fleet began its first true mission. Above Earth, the wreckage stirred again. 37 ships lit their engines, drifting out of orbit like silent hunters. They looked like corpses, but inside, they burned with stolen life. Their destination was clear. The staging grounds where the Council's fleet was gathering. It was a journey of madness. Humans had no right to enter the heart of galactic space. Their ships were patched together, unstable, wrong. Yet as they cut through the void, they moved with purpose. The galaxy would soon learn that the graveyard did not wait to be attacked. The graveyard hunted. Back in the council hall, a message arrived. An outpost near the staging grounds had gone dark. At first, the council dismissed it. A malfunction, perhaps. But then another outpost fell silent, and another. Then entire convoys vanished into the void, leaving only wreckage behind. Whispers began to spread once more. They are coming. The graveyard has left Earth. They're hunting us. And for the first time in centuries, the galaxy's greatest powers felt something they had not felt in generations. Not anger, not pride, but fear. Because humanity had decided they would not wait for the storm. They would become the storm. Council's fleet was gathering. From every empire, from every corner of the galaxy, warships converged. Thousands of them. Massive carriers with shining armor. Destroyers bristling with weapons. Cruisers that had never lost a battle. It was meant to be unstoppable. A storm of fire that no world could survive. They thought Earth would wait. They thought humanity would tremble, hide, or beg. But they did not understand humans. The graveyard fleet had already left Earth. Ships patched together from wrecks, stitched with alien steel, carrying unstable AI minds. They looked like monsters, like corpses dragged out of tombs. Yet they flew with deadly silence, cutting through the void like predators. Their target was not Earth's defense. It was the staging ground where the Council's war fleet was forming. Commander, Hayes stood at the command table in the flagship, a nightmare battleship made from 20 different hulks, his eyes locked on the tactical map. Dozens of Council ships were already gathered near the barren moon of Dravos. More arrived every hour. Soon thousands would be there. Hayes knew they could not face all of them. But if they struck fast, if they struck now, They could tear out the heart of the beast before it awoke. "Sir," Lieutenant Carter whispered, "we are outnumbered 100-1. Hayes's voice was calm, steady, iron. "Good. Then we will not waste time searching. For them, they are already here." The order was given. The graveyard fleet broke from the shadows. Engines roared. Patched cannons charged. Jagged wings cut through the dark. 37 human ships hurled themselves at hundreds of council vessels. First strike was chaos. The humans did not announce themselves. They did not broadcast demands. They attacked like wolves. A broken cruiser stitched with human steel smashed through a line of destroyers, ripping them apart at close range. A hybrid carrier unleashed swarms of drones, each drone a patchwork. Horror of alien tech. Small, fast, merciless. The council fleet reeled in shock. For the first time, they were not the hunters. They were the prey. "Those are not ships." A council commander screamed across the comms. "Those are nightmares." Graveyard fleet fought with madness. No neat formations, no predictable maneuvers. One wrecked ship rammed directly into a battleship, tearing itself apart but taking the enemy with it. Another twisted into impossible angles, slipping through gaps no living pilot would dare. The unstable A's adapted instantly, changing strategies. Mid-dash battle, and then came the giant. The flagship Hayes's monster rose from the shadows. 20 hulls fused into one, glowing with stolen energy. The council fleet turned all guns toward it. Beams of light, missiles, plasma, fire all crashed against its jagged armor. For a moment it disappeared in the storm, then slowly it pushed forward. Weapons burning with stolen fury, one blast tore through an entire line of cruisers. Another cut a carrier in half. The graveyard fleet rallied around it, their broken hulls shining like ghosts in the dark. But numbers still mattered. For every council ship destroyed, more closed in. Hundreds turned their fire on the humans. The void burned with light and fire. Inside the flagship, alarms screamed, shields cracked, hull plates tore away. Officers shouted warnings. "We cannot." "Hold, sir. They have too many guns. We'll be crushed." But Hayes's eyes never left the map. Slowly a grim smile formed. "They think we came to win a battle," he said softly. "But we came to send a message." The message was fire. At that moment, hidden charges inside the graveyard fleet detonated. The humans had been carrying more than weapons. They had been carrying stolen cores. Unstable reactors, fragments of alien drives. As the fleet fought, these were planted across the battlefield, hidden among wrecks and drifting debris. Now they exploded. The void lit up like a dying sun. Entire sections of the council fleet vanished in the blaze. Dozens of ships were gone. In an instant, survivors staggered, shields broken, formations shattered. The graveyard fleet pulled back into the shadows. Battered but alive, the council commanders screamed in rage and disbelief. Thousands of ships were meant to come together here, but now, hundreds were gone before the war even began. And worst of all, it had been done by 37 ships made from garbage. When the council reported the battle, their words shook the galaxy. They attacked us before we could strike. They fought with wreckage and destroyed hundreds. They are not weak. They are not primitive. Earth is dangerous. Fear spread again. Empires argued, panicked, accused each other of weakness. But one truth was clear. Humanity had turned their insult into a weapon. The graveyard fleet was not a defense. It was an army. Back on the flagship, battered and broken but alive, Hayes stood before his officers. Many were wounded. Many ships were barely holding together, but they had survived. They had struck the council. Hayes's voice was steady. They will come again, with more ships, with more fire. But they know now, he paused, his eyes like steel. They know Earth is not prey. Above him, the graveyard fleet drifted once more in silence. To outsiders, it looked like corpses. But to those who knew the truth, it was something. Else it was the beating heart of humanity's defiance, and the galaxy had only just begun to bleed. The council had made its decision. Earth had humiliated their fleets. 37 human-made ships had destroyed hundreds of warships before the galaxy even realized what was happening. Pride had been shattered. Orders had been ignored. And now, the galaxy's greatest powers were coming to make an example. Would not fail again. The invasion fleet approached Sol System in full force. Thousands of warships, massive carriers, armored destroyers, sleek cruisers, and countless fighters. Their engines burned bright as they formed lines of fire and steel. The Council's leaders believed Earth's humans were nothing, garbage. A minor annoyance, they were wrong. On Earth, Commander Hayes watched the approaching fleet from the underground command chamber. Engineers, officers, and AI specialists were already working to ready the graveyard fleet. Every ship in orbit, every hidden shipyard, every secret drone network was mobilized. "They are coming," Lieutenant Carter said quietly. "Thousands of ships. This is unlike anything we've faced." Hayes nodded. "Yes, and they think fear will make us bow. They are wrong. The humans had a plan. They could not win by meeting fire with fire. It's too many guns, too many ships." The Council had numbers and power, but humans had creativity. They had cunning. They had the graveyard fleet, their monsters built from wreckage. "Phase 1, Hayes said. "We strike the outer lines first, make them think it's a small resistance. Lead them in, above Earth." Debris fields stirred. Satellites and old wreckage shifted, forming illusions of ships that did not exist. Mines built from stolen alien tech drifted through the void, invisible to enemy sensors. AI mines monitored the skies, predicting movement, calculating attacks, adapting instantly. And then, the Council arrived at the edge of Sol System. The first waves of the invasion fleet encountered the illusions. Hundreds of ships fired blindly into empty space, while hidden traps erupted. Mines exploded in blinding bursts. Debris fields shifted, crushing holes. Ships collided in confusion. Chaos spread like wildfire. Inside the human fleet, officers cheered. Not because they were winning yet, but because the plan worked. The Council's pride was cracking. The invasion force was strong, yes, but it was not perfect. It never would be. Humans always found a way to exploit weakness. Hayes's voice cut through the coms. "Phase 2. Push forward." The graveyard fleet advanced. Broken cruisers rammed enemy lines. Hybrid carriers released swarms of drones that tore through fighters. Engines that should not exist fired in impossible directions, dodging missiles. Weaving through shields, the Council's fleet was massive, but disorganized. Humans thrived in chaos. The first major clash came near Jupiter. Council warships tried to form a defensive perimeter, but the graveyard fleet shattered it. One colossal battleship, patched together from 20 different wrecks, led the charge. Its weapons, a mix of stolen alien tech, firepower, and human ingenuity, tore through carriers and destroyers alike. Explosions lit the void. Ships were torn apart. Fighters screamed through space before being swallowed by the storm of fire. The Council's officers had never seen technology move like this. They called it impossible. They called it madness. And then came the turning point. Deep within the fleet, humans activated their secret Wapana, massive, unstable AI core harvested from alien wrecks. It was dangerous even to them, but its power was unmatched. The AI core linked to every ship in orbit, coordinating attacks, predicting enemy moves with perfect accuracy. The Council fleet faltered. Hundreds of ships fell in minutes. Thousands more scattered, unsure where to focus their fire. The humans, though outnumbered, moved like one entity. An unstoppable force born from dead machines and living minds. From Earth's surface, billions watched the sky. Stars lit with explosions, alien ships burned, debris fell into the atmosphere. No one had ever seen war like this. And humanity did not tremble. They had waited for this moment. They had prepared their entire history for it in the underground. Command Room. Hayes looked at the battlefield. Ships were damaged, some destroyed, but the Council fleet had taken its first true defeat in centuries. And Earth was still standing. "They will regroup, an officer warned. Yes, Hayes said quietly, but they know now. Earth is not weak. We are not prey, and they will remember this. Above, the graveyard fleet drifted again, broken, but alive, jagged holes gleaming with stolen firepower. Each explosion, each destroyed enemy ship was a message to the galaxy. Humans do not yield. Humans do not beg. Humans survive they fight with everything they have, and the galaxy would. Never forget, the galaxy was panicked. Earth had survived the first strike. The graveyard fleet had shattered hundreds of warships, scattered thousands more, and humiliated the Council's pride. Rumors of humans who controlled dead machines, who turned wreckage into weapons, had spread across the stars. Fear was everywhere, and the Council was desperate. In the Grand Hall of Concord, the leaders argued, shouted, and blamed each other. Empires accused one another of weakness. Scientists warned that humans were beyond comprehension. One word, echoed through every chamber: Earth must be destroyed. They sent their greatest minds. They sent their deadliest weapons. They sent fleets that should have been unstoppable. But humans had learned one truth: the galaxy always underestimates the small. The weak, the overlooked Commander Hayes watched the reports come in. The Council's new fleet was larger, more organized, faster, deadlier than before. Thousands of ships approached Sol System, shining like a storm of stars. They will destroy us if we are caught unprepared, Lieutenant Carter said, worry in his voice. Hayes nodded. They think fear will break us. They think fire will make us bow. But they are wrong. Always wrong. Earth had more than firepower. Earth had cunning. Phase 1 of Hayes' plan was already in motion. From hidden bases on the Moon, Mars, and deep underground, dozens of ships not yet seen by the galaxy waited. Ships built from wrecks, patched with alien technology, powered by human ingenuity. Some were massive, some small. Some looked harmless, but each one was a trap, a predator ready to strike. The Council's fleet crossed the asteroid belt. Had scouts, sensors, and the confidence of thousands of ships behind them. They believed Earth would break under numbers. They were wrong. The first human strike came from above Jupiter. Broken cruisers raked through the outer ships, while hidden drones swarmed the inner lines. Mines exploded in synchronized patterns. The Council's commanders had not seen tactics like this. Humans fought with creativity, unpredictability, and absolute ruthlessness. Yet numbers still mattered. Hundreds of Council ships reached the inner system. Earth's orbit would not hold if they were not careful. Hayes' eyes scanned the map. The graveyard fleet was battered but ready, he knew. It was time for Phase 2. Activate the core, he ordered. Deep within the flagship, the massive AI core flickered to life. Its energy linked to every ship in orbit and on hidden bases. Sensors, weapons, engines, even unstable alien is everything moved as one. Calculations happened in microseconds. Human ships could now anticipate every move of the Council fleet. First Council battleships were caught off guard. Blasts from multiple angles tore through shields. Entire squadrons of fighters were swallowed by drones. Commands failed as the humans linked AI predicted movements before they happened. One Council commander screamed in disbelief, "It is impossible. How can a primitive species coordinate like this?" Hayes did not answer. He watched calm as the battlefield became chaos. Not for humans, but for the enemy. Broken ships darted, rammed, fired, and vanished like shadows. The Council fleet, organized for centuries of war, fell apart in hours, and then Hayes revealed the secret weapon he had been saving from hidden shipyards across Earth. A massive patchwork battleship emerged. It was a nightmare of welded holes, stolen engines, and alien cannons. Its size dwarfed the Council's largest carriers. It fired a beam that could obliterate shields and engines alike. Entire fleets scattered when it appeared. The Council panicked. For the first time, they realized this was not a simple resistance. This was a world that could fight, adapt, and destroy anything in its path. And yet Hayes knew the battle was far from over. The Council would not give up. More fleets would come. More fire would rain. But Earth had proven one truth. Humans do not bow. Humans do not surrender. Humans fight with everything they have and turn the galaxy's arrogance into their greatest weapon as the graveyard fleet drifted back into orbit after another devastating strike. Billions of eyes watched from Earth's surface. They saw explosions, they saw fire, and they saw something more. Hope Commander Hayes addressed his officers quietly, but firmly. They mocked us. They attacked us. They thought we were weak. But we survived. We fought. And now the galaxy knows. Earth is not a rock to crush. Earth is a force to fear. The graveyard fleet floated above the planet like jagged stars. Broken ships, patched engines, stolen weapons, all alive, all ready. The Council would return, or come with more fire, more pride, more fury, but they would never again underestimate humans, because humanity had learned the galaxy's greatest secret. What others throw away can become the deadliest weapon, and the final storm was coming. The galaxy's greatest powers had never been so united. Thousands of warships from every empire gathered in a storm of light and fire near Sol System. The Council had sent their full fleet, determined to crush Earth once and for all. This was the battle they had dreamed of, the final strike to remind humans of their place. They did not know what they were about to face. Above Earth, the graveyard fleet drifted silently. Broken ships, patched together from centuries of alien wars, shimmered like jagged stars. Engines hummed, cannons waited. Minds, both human-made and alien hybrid, pulsed in unison. System prepared to strike. Commander Hayes stood on the flagships. Bridge's eyes scanned the massive incoming fleet. Hundreds of thousands of guns, thousands of fighters, millions of tons of firepower. Even he could not ignore the scale. "They believe this will end us," he said softly. "They are wrong." Around him, officers worked quickly. Engineers patched holes, recalibrated weapons, and ran final diagnostics on AI cores. Every human and every machine waited for his order. And then Hayes spoke. Now, the graveyard fleet surged forward. Broken hulls became deadly projectiles. Engines that should not exist roared. Cannons fired in perfect coordination. Drones swarmed the first lines of the Council fleet. Ships they believed indestructible were shredded in minutes. The galaxy watched in shock. News transmissions from outer systems showed fleets dissolving like sand in a storm. Millions of soldiers saw the humans' fury, the humans' cunning, and the humans' refusal to bow. But the Council would not give up. Their flagship, a massive carrier of unmatched firepower, led the charge. Dozens of battleships formed around it. Every weapon fired in unison. The humans were outnumbered 100 to 1. This should have been the end. Yet the graveyard fleet fought differently. Humans did not fight with honor. They fought with ingenuity. They fought with traps, illusions, and tactics no alien mind could predict. Broken cruisers rammed through lines of fire. Carriers released swarms of drones that could disable hundreds of ships at once. And AI-controlled engines moved ships faster than anyone thought possible. Explosions lit the void. Fighters screamed. Through space. The Council fleet reeled under the fury of humanity's wrath, and then Hayes unleashed the secret of the graveyard fleet. from hidden shipyards across Earth. Dozens of massive ships emerged simultaneously. Each one was larger, deadlier, and more unpredictable than anything the Council had ever faced. Some fired beams that tore through shields. Others rammed directly into enemy hulls. Entire squadrons vanished in seconds. The flagship Hayes' ultimate creation advanced. Its weapons stolen, patched, fused unleashed energy that obliterated multiple ships at once. The Council's commanders screamed as their fleet, the greatest in history, began to collapse. Still, the battle was not over. Thousands of Council ships remained. Pride and fury drove them forward. They believed humanity could be destroyed if only they struck hard enough. Hayes smiled grimly. He gave the final order. All AI cores, synchronize. Activate full graveyard protocol. The pulse surged through every ship. Cannons fired faster, engines roared louder, drones moved with impossible speed. The human fleet became one living weapon, a tidal wave of jagged steel and fire. The Council fleet shattered. Massive ships exploded, carriers were torn in half, fighters disintegrated in swarms of drones. The unstoppable storm of the galaxy was broken, piece, by what they had once called trash. When the last Council ship fell, silence filled the void. Smoke and debris drifted across the stars. Billions of eyes across the galaxy stared in disbelief. Earth had not only survived, it had won. On the flagship, Hayes stood quietly. Officers and engineers cheered around him, but he only looked at the stars. The graveyard had done what no one thought possible. Its broken ships, stitched together from wreckage, had defeated the greatest powers in the galaxy. They mocked our wreckage. Hayes whispered. They laughed at our weakness. Now, it is their greatest fear. Above Earth, the graveyard fleet drifted silently. Broken, patched, and terrifying, it was no longer just a defense. It was the weapon that had rewritten the rules of the galaxy. And the galaxy would never forget. For centuries, humans had been underestimated, ignored, and mocked. They had been told they were weak, told they were primitive, told they were nothing, and yet from their wreckage, humanity had built the greatest weapon the stars had ever seen. The Council, the empires, the galaxy, they had all learned the same. Lesson: do not underestimate humanity, because humans could turn what others threw way into the deadliest force the universe had ever known, and the graveyard fleet was only the beginning.